No, Claire Bates will not be returning to EastEnders. Claire Devine in Hollyoaks, though, is teasing her fate as Gemma Bissix did return to Hollyoaks after more than a decade off of our screens. Previously, having the character had reached a permanent end. But now Gemma Bissix has revealed all about, whether she would return to EastEnders and why she decided to return to Hollyoaks and what is coming up for the Claire Devine actress. This is from the Metro, and it's a great article once again by Stephen Patterson, a really good writer over at Metro, and has a lot of these really, really smart and really, really cool, big interviews where we actually get to grips. We don't just have the typical soap questions where it's like, what can you say about your character? Nothing. Fantastic. What else can you say about your character? Nothing. Oh, wow. Thank you for the interview. Thank you for the 2-minute interview. Good, sir. But yes, after more than a decade, Claire Devine Gemma Bissix has staged an almighty comeback to Hollyoaks, ready to wreak havoc on the eponymous village once more. It's a moment that fans have longed for, but thought it was impossible given that last we saw Claire, she was mowed down by a car, pronounced dead at the scene, and placed into a body bag. Even though this is Hollyoaks we're talking about, getting around this would be quite difficult. However, with some clever writing, not to mention superb performances, bosses managed the impossible, resuscitating Claire in an entirely believable way. Believable or not, I'm not entirely sure, but then I haven't actually watched the Hollyoaks of last week, so, my bad. My bad. In just a handful of episodes, the notorious villain has already made her presence felt, sharing the screen with sister Grace Black, Tamara Wall for the first time, and crossing paths with Warren Fox in a truly delicious meeting. And we're only just getting started. The residents of the village are set to experience Claire in all her glory, and with big stories to come, showdowns years in the making, and a unique side of Claire we've not seen before, Metro caught up with Gemma Bissix to discuss all things Claire, the possibility of an EastEnders comeback for Claire Bates, and the not-so-little matter of the Hollyoaks' explosive 30th birthday. Hi Gemma, it's so exciting that Claire Devine is back after all these years. What was it like stepping back into her shoes? Claire says it was really something that wasn't in my sights, because she was dead. I didn't really think it was going to happen again, and now it seems like I've never been away. It's been amazing, except now I've got 2 children, who never thought I was anything other than just their mum. So now they're like, oh, you did have a life beforehand. Classic kid. How did the return come about? It was the end of January. Hannah Cheers called me. To be honest, at the time Nigel had just come back to EastEnders, so lots of people were asking me if I'd go back to the EastEnders. But then I got a call from Hollyoaks, and I jumped at the chance. I mean, I'm not saying this is some crafty doing from Hollyoaks, but honestly, look, as an actress who has played a pretty big role in both soaps, I don't see the problem in getting Claire Devine back if you have the storyline. And it also proves that if Hollyoaks kind of winds its neck in and doesn't really make an appearance over the next couple of years, there is a real way back for Claire Devine, but it doesn't seem like the bosses actually want her. I mean Claire Bates. Even though we know Claire and Grace are sisters, this is a dynamic we've never seen on screen before. Was that one of the reasons you said yes? Exactly. Tamara Wall, who plays Grace Black, and I have been friends for 10 years. About a year after she came on to Hollyoaks, we met each other at an awards do. We've been friends ever since. We've become besties, she stayed at my house, and we've always dreamed of being on screen together, so now it's like we have so much fun. See, that's always fun. It was kind of weird. I didn't really know I didn't know why they were bringing back Grace specifically, but if they obviously didn't have the long-term thinking to suggest maybe she'll be a way to get Claire back, but, maybe they knew. Maybe perhaps they knew. I don't know. I'm probably giving them a bit too much credit. Was it an easy time for you finding Claire again after all this time, and has your lived experience impacted the way you play her a decade on? Yes, I think so. That says there is more depth to Claire this time round. Excuse me. Sorry. Yes, I think so. What's been really nice actually is that Claire is a daughter in Tori. Harriet, who plays Tori, is playing a 9-year-old. My daughter's a 9 and 8. That really resonates with. For me, there's a stillness that comes with Claire now. And there's a lot more depth to it. I've got the experience of being a mother there, so there is more I can reach into, and that helps bring a little bit more maturity into it. That's interesting because Claire was always a very conniving, get what she wants, no kids, no actual just no real care. She would just do what she wanted, and she would hurt anyone that she genuinely could if they stood in the way of what she wanted. So, interesting angle. And Claire has experienced love now with Tori and Alistair Banks, which is quite new for her. When you've seen Claire before and she was doing bad things, it was always get rich or get power status. She's never really loved anyone in the past ever, so it's a really great dynamic for me. As an actress, to play the things that are actually genuine. Whether there were tears before, they were always fake, so I'm really enjoying the depth to Claire this time around. The dynamic with Grace is what sisters are like. Lots of people have relationships with their sibling where it's a love-hate relationship. Claire's and Grace's is a lot more heightened, where when the love is there, the love is there, but when the hate is there, murder is involved. I find it a funny way to answer that question because obviously Alistair Banks was killed off, so ultimately they didn't really get to explore that dynamic too much on the screen. They just existed, and now he is dead and she is by herself, so kind of interesting. Speaking of Grace, next week she finds herself public enemy number 1 over the exploitation operation, which sparked to develop for Claire. What can you tell me? Yes, so Grace gets arrested and this leads to Claire coming out the shadows. And that's when everyone in the village realizes she's not dead. Tony, for instance, is like Claire Devine. Everyone comes to Grace. Nancy comes to give her a slap and Claire comes steaming in and grabs a hold of her. There's an amazing scene in the episode where Grace is crying because she's just lost Freddie and the whole village hates her. So Claire is like, we're black sisters, we're Fraser's daughters, you need to sort this out. It's a really powerful scene where I had to stay really, really still and quite angry. Tamara as Grace was just crying, and it made me quite emotional. To hold it all together, and when they said cut, I burst into tears and gave her a big cuddle. I didn't want to see Tamara cry. I've not seen her cry in 10 years. We're a happy friendship. That's fun. That is very fun. Grace later gives Tori to the Blakes. How do you think Claire will react when she finds out about the betrayal? When Tori goes missing, as far as Claire is concerned, it's a Blake to have snatched her. Grace says she let Tori go to the shops on her own and the Blakes have just snatched her. And then there is a lovely and really emotional scene where Grace is a load of regret. She looks at Claire having not realised how much she cares about Tori. You never cared about anyone but yourself. When Claire finds out from Dodger that Grace was the one who gave Tori to them, that is when Claire turns into Claire. At the beginning when she's lost Alistair, she's quite vulnerable. But this is where you see Claire coming out in a full red power suit. She's dressed as Claire Devine and she's wanting blood. She broke down to her sister and she was vulnerable. When you got these characters who don't often give their vulnerability, if you then realise you've been duped, the vulnerability turns into hatred and resentment, and that's when all the trouble starts. With over a decade having passed since we last saw Claire, is she more calculated how she takes her revenge? Does she take her time to pounce, or is it still instantaneous? I think it's still instantaneous. She's very reactive, and as soon as she's found out that Grace has taken Tori from her, she has got a plan and she wants Grace dead. Classic Claire. That is classic Claire, isn't it? As soon as she realised that one person she's been vulnerable to has let her down and gone behind her back, there is nothing left. She doesn't want anything to do with Grace. Oh god, how much more is that? Oh, bloody hell. The throat's already screaming. Oh. Oh, excuse me. Bloody hell. When Claire loves someone or cares about someone, they do something nasty to her. That's the way she deals with those feelings. She can't show weaknesses, so she might well go and murder someone. Laughs. She hasn't got her hands dirty for about 12 years because she was in a coma, married to Banks and got a daughter, but even with killing Grace, she doesn't want to get her hands dirty, so she goes to someone else. I mean, is Grace going to die? I don't know if I believe that. The fans have longed for the opportunity to see Claire and Sienna on screen together, two of the soap's greatest ever schemers. Are there some good showdowns coming up? There really is. Sienna has been quite a caring character as of late, so we've not seen that twisted evil side for a while. When they have scenes together, Sienna whispers in Claire's ears things like, "I've done this before, so don't underestimate me. I know your game." Because it's quite funny, because Claire likes to show her up and wind her up, so Sienna shows her true colours a little bit. It's definitely a war of minds rather than physicality. At the moment, they keep each other on side because Sienna is the grandmother to Claire's daughter. It's keeping that balance, but I definitely think there's more stuff to come there. Hey, once again. If there weren't odds, do you think Claire would admire Sienna and the things she's done in the past? Absolutely. I think she's aware of it. I think that Claire can definitely sense out there's a rivalry with Sienna, and she wouldn't necessarily need to make an enemy out of her straight away. She's definitely wary of her, but she doesn't have any filter when it comes to her either. She's not trying to be nice to pretend. They share evil look, and some of the stuff Sienna says to big scenes, only someone like Sienna would get away with saying that kind of stuff to her. We also know there are Claire and Mercedes scenes coming up. Can we expect fireworks? The scenes are really, really great, and some end up being quite comedic. Things like "You're a cockroach" said, and Claire says, "Well, it's better than being mowed down by a car." It's obviously what Mercedes did to her, and there's more to come. Also, you forget how many people have gripes with Claire, like she was the reason Steve's husband Doug died. Really funny that there are all these characters that have a real hatred for her. Like, "Oh yes, I killed a member of your family, didn't I? Sorry about that." In Hollyoaks. In Hollyoaks, YouTube. We know Tom is coming back. The Tom and Claire dynamic was intense back in the day. Are you excited to revisit this with Ellis? I'm really excited to revisit that. We hope he's coming back for a while, for a bit of a while, because it's really nice for the fans to see Claire get the comeuppance she deserves, and revenge from Tom. I don't think that Claire is going anywhere yet, so it would be nice to show Tom in a different light, and show that he's grown up and not scared of her at all. You mentioned Nigel in EastEnders and how everyone was talking about potential Claire Bates comeback. What does it mean to you that 2 decades on, people are still talking about your two characters, who clearly both resonate with viewers? It's really great. I've been a soap fan myself for years. When I was in it before 2013, there wasn't really Instagram. There was only Twitter. Now everything that goes up on social media, there are hundreds of comments. You do worry about that. You think, oh God, how is it going to be received? But actually, there's not been one negative comment so far, and that's been a dream. I've got this theory that Claire Bates is Claire Devine. Claire Bates started in 1993 on EastEnders, then moved to Hollyoaks Village because she got bored, after causing some havoc, so she went back in EastEnders in 2008 as a similar character to Claire Devine. So they just need to write Claire into Emmerdale and Corrie, and then be the first soap actor to cross over as the same character in each soap. Very nice. Well, there is an Emmerdale Coronation Street crossover coming up, so perfect opportunity. That's what I mean. I thought this even before I knew that. If Nigel stays in EastEnders for long enough, who knows? They might make a return. Not quite yet, no. That's not happening just now. Finally, what can you tell me about what's come out for Claire Devine? How long is she here for, and what's to come? She says, I'm definitely here till the end of September so far. I'm going to be here for the 30th birthday celebrations because we filmed that in the summer. It's really excited because the last time I came back in 2013 was only here for a short stint. Definitely more dynamics going on for different characters. Claire gets a love interest, albeit for her own scheming ways. You definitely see a flicker of caring from her, but things don't tend to last very long in her world. She has to move on. When things happen, she acts quickly on her feet, and she has to do some pretty wrong things to make money, because all she's trying to do is get some cash together so she can escape the Tory. But the longer the money doesn't come in, the longer she has to stay in the village, which is good for the fans and good for me. There's also going to be a war between two sisters, but we're trying to fit a bit of comedy into it as well. And you've got Grace, who's quite funny and eccentric, and you've got Claire, who doesn't have the time for it. It's a bit of a comedy duo. Grace becomes irritating to Claire, and I think the audience will find that quite funny. There's some really exciting stuff going on. There's a big storyline coming up where Claire dupes the whole village. I can't tell you what it is yet, but it's absolutely fantastic. You'll see Claire in a way you've never seen her before, completely stripped back. I mean, let's guess that perhaps she, plays the doting mother to Tori and tries to remind everybody that her daughter's been taken away from her. I think that's an interesting angle, personally. And perhaps they'll buy into it, but then she, goes for blood once again, and boom, surprise, very cool little story. Excuse me, but yeah. But it's not really honestly, a lot of really exciting stuff there, so I don't really need to pull it apart. I think that's a worthy enough time and a worthy enough interview. Really exciting stuff heading up for Claire Devine, and I'm glad that they are giving her basically the red carpet to be a prominent character, because ultimately you bring back a character like Claire Devine and she does remind people of better times. She does remind people that, it used to be, it used to be different. It used to be better once upon a time, and maybe it kind of reaches into that nostalgia and whips people back into shape into actually being a proper Hollyoaks fan. So, yeah, I look forward to seeing how this manifests and how it happens, and obviously Claire Devine's return has already happened on Hollyoaks, so if you haven't seen it yet, go ahead and watch as far back as you can. Even at this point, I think the return episodes should be on YouTube. So yeah, thanks for watching. I've been Ash from Watching Walford. See you next time. Bye-bye. Bye.